Ken Wilber has a book that he titled The Atman Project. And Atman is Indian or Hindu word for soul. Well, it does look like we are here on this planet working on developing a soul. The Christian idea of the soul, of something that goes on after you die physically to heaven or hell, is not it, is not the soul that I'm talking about. Soul um, is probably a lot closer to simple consciousness. And that's probably essentially what we are, is a soul. And our identities, our names, and our stories are probably very temporary, and they probably constitute a barrier to developing consciousness. It's interesting that some people report that once they let go of all their stories that defines them, their consciousness changes and it becomes much more relational, much more aware of everything growing, and energy fields, and just um, consciousness in how it manifests in the world and all these life forms is our family. We are actually part and parcel of that. And what we identify as who we are with our name, our family, our culture, our stories are not actually who we are. But we don't really normally have a sharp awareness of not only who we really are, but what we're supposed to be in this lifetime. Why we actually took birth and why we are here working on something that may or may not be what we're supposed to be working on. In our culture, we are easily diverted from what our real path is because we never have initiation, and we rarely have someone, an elder, who can look at us and say, oh, this is what you're made for. This is what you're really good at. You've got a real talent there. This is something that is trying to come out through you, and maybe you should pay more attention to it. That kind of reflection to a young person is invaluable. It is something that we all need, and we also need an initiation. We need to be able to um, transition from a child to an adult, but a certain kind of adult. An adult that is working on becoming a wise elder. And the only way you do that is to sense what it is you're made for, what it is you naturally love, and to devote your life to it. That's what actually makes soul. That's soul making. So, how do you get there? It is definitely a problem in a society that educates people um, only in the brain. Um, we can be given a tremendous amount of techniques and skills and ideas and conscious knowledge and still not be initiated human beings who know what they're really made for. You can be trained up to be something that you really don't love. You really don't care about it very much. It's just not your thing. If you do stumble onto your path, uh, I can only hope you recognize it. The the difference between being on your real path and being on somebody else's path is that spark of energy, that real interest, that real talent for understanding it and for learning about it. That is what we're really meant to do here. Boy, we don't have a lot of encouragement along that way. And it's really too bad because a lot of young people get lost. And and there's a lot of misdirection. A lot of people are telling them go this way, go that way, and it's not the right way for them. They need somebody with real perceptive intuition about them, somebody who can look into them with a deeper perception than normal. We're not born with that, um, and especially in a culture that um, just about drowns it, just um, overrides it with all of these other offerings, all of these other obligations and duties that we have to perform. We end up spending our energy uh, completely um, on things we don't love. And a whole life spent that way is pretty unfortunate. Um, People are living longer nowadays. Around 1900, people lived about half as long as they do now. And I I don't know why there are so many old people who don't qualify as elders. They've lived their lives and they've learned certain skills and they've figured out how to make a living, but they don't have a real spiritual depth. And to achieve that, you have to be creative. You have to ask a lot of questions. You have to go through some things and learn. And when I say go through some things, we all have catastrophes in our lives. We all have misfortunes. Um, a life without misfortunes is one big misfortune. We actually need some kind of difficulty to overcome because that's how consciousness grows. So I'm just thinking about how it is important, especially for people when they get into their 70s and 80s, like me, just to really have lived the life that you were meant to live, doing the things you were built for, and reflecting on things. Because there will be young people in your life who need what you have learned, what you've developed. And if you've developed any depth, you have an obligation to give that to the world before you pass on. Anyway, that's what I think.